Hey guys, my name's North, you're watching Northtendo, and I hope you're having a really good day. Today we're taking a look at the demo version of Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. Now the full game comes out on the 20th of November, so not long to go now. But in the meantime, if you haven't checked it out yet, the demo version is absolutely fantastic. So even though I seem to be losing my voice at the moment, I just had to make a video sharing my first impressions of the game, based on the demo at least, which only lets you play the first 2 missions and a few side quests as well. So obviously this won't be an accurate or fair representation of the finished full version of Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, but if it's going to be anything like the demo, we're in for a treat. Now I actually live streamed the demo the day after it came out, and the one thing I repeatedly kept commenting on was how beautiful Age of Calamity is. It is visually stunning, and it looks so much like Breath of the Wild that at times I genuinely thought I was playing a Zelda game instead of a Dynasty Warriors game. The attention to detail is superb, even down to the visuals and the sound effects of the menus and the voice acting. Koei Tecmo have clearly worked very closely with the guys over at Nintendo to make this spin-off as close to the actual Breath of the Wild as they can, and that's just incredible. You really have to appreciate how much effort they've put in. Now, obviously, this is a hack and slash game, so instead of the often patient, calculated combat of a traditional Zelda game, here the demo has you performing combos to mow down vast hordes of bokoblins and Lizalfos like you were hunting for rupees in Hyrule Field. You do come across larger, more trickier enemies like moblins and wizrows that require a bit more of a thought out approach, but once the weak spot is revealed, you can just hammer away like crazy. For me, the greatest thing about Age of Calamity is the greatest thing about the original Hyrule Warriors. It's the vast variety between characters. In the demo you can play as Link, Zelda, and a young Impa who looks absolutely epic. I love what they've done with her character design. Each one of them plays slightly differently with their own unique moves and mechanics to master. Link is your bog standard sword fighter for the most part, and he also gets a bow and arrow for a ranged attack. But in an amazing callback to Breath of the Wild, he can surf on his shield to harm enemies. It's so satisfying to just charge into a crowd of monsters on your shield and just send them all flying. It also follows up into combos pretty well, so it's a good way to get the jump on a big group of enemies. Impa plays, as you might expect, a bit like a ninja, but she's a little bit on the futuristic side. Her main mechanic basically involves stealing life force from enemies, or at least something like that, to power up these 3 symbols. The more symbols she has activated, the more clones of herself she can create, which lead to more combos and more elaborate attacks. And finally, Zelda is probably my favourite character so far. All of her attacks make use of the Sheikah Slate by chaining the different runes together into some awesome combos, especially when she lands a weak point attack on a larger enemy. She can't do long combos, but the variety of her attacks are great for dealing with multiple enemies at once. Speaking of the Sheikah Slate, all the characters, at least in the demo, can use the 4 main runes within it: the remote bombs, cryosis, stasis, and magnesis. What's really cool is that each character uses them slightly differently, Zelda especially, as she incorporates the runes into her playstyle more than the others. For example, when Link uses the remote bomb rune, he simply lobs a few bombs like you'd expect him to. However, when Impa uses it, it turns into a firework type explosive that flies upwards before exploding over the battlefield. And when Zelda uses it, she summons a walking bomb launcher that drops bombs along the ground and shoots bombs out of its top before detonating in a large explosion. The player can fully control its movement, or you can let it walk in a straight line automatically and continue fighting alongside it as Zelda. This is a really nice touch. It genuinely makes every character feel completely different and gives them advantages over each other in certain situations. When choosing a character, not only do you have to consider their default playstyle, but also how they use the Sheikah Slate runes. You can of course switch between characters mid-battle depending on the situation if you need to, and in some cases, another character in your party might be better suited for the enemies in your path. Each character also gets access to the Fire Rod, Ice Rod, and Electric Rod, which lose their charge when used but can be replenished by collecting energy for them. These seem to work the same for everyone, and they basically call down either a fireball, a lightning bolt, or they freeze enemies in ice, depending on which one you use. And of course, all enemies get some sort of unique, flashy super attack that you have to charge over time, and can then obliterate large group of enemies in a single blow. Link charges power into his sword and does a really huge slash. Impa basically generates some Sheikah powder keg looking thing and just lobs it into a crowd of enemies. And rather hilariously, Zelda uses the Sheikah Slate to take a picture of the battlefield, and any enemies caught within the frame get damaged. It's a bit of a weird one, I'm not gonna lie. Like I said at the start of this video, if the full version of Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity is anything like the demo, then it's looking very promising. The only complaint I have so far, and it's only a little one, is that you're thrown so much information right at the start, like hints on how to do combos and certain attacks, all while slashing through hundreds of enemies right off the bat, that it can take a while to get your bearings, especially for people who have never touched a Dynasty Warriors game before. For instance, I didn't realise until the end of the first level that Link has a bow and arrow that he can use, because I completely missed that tip. I was too transfixed with just slicing down the goblins. And I only found out by accident because I pressed the wrong button when I was trying to use the Sheikah runes. However, once you find your feet, it is amazing. It plays well, it feels good to play it, and you really do get immersed in the battle. I couldn't possibly give it a score out of 10 or a 1 to 5 star rating or something like that. It's only the demo that wouldn't be fair. But what I can say is that if you haven't tried it yet, definitely give it a go. I can guarantee you'll want the full game when it arrives on the 20th of November.
Steel yourself! I am ready. It's time!
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to leave a like and share this video with a friend. Subscribe and enable notifications to see more from me, and you can also follow me on social media. I'll see you next time, but until then, stay safe and have a good one.